Rebecca Connors, Election Administrator for Missoula County.
All right. Now, Rebecca, we have heard that, of course, the postings for the City Council have closed as of July 2nd, and the only ward that has enough candidates to qualify for a primary is Ward 2 with 4. And yet there's been some controversy as to whether or not there actually will be a primary in Ward 4. What is the status of that particular situation right now?
Sure. We're actually working with, we're going through the city attorney, our county attorneys, and we're asking the help of the Secretary of State's office, and they're helping of interpreting this law. The big issue is in October 1st of 2013, we saw changes to the language of the law from Senate Bill 122, and this changed several facets of the language to from, I think, I don't know what it was originally worded, but I think it transitioned it from election, which would have been overarching and it would have included that all the wards would have had a relationship with each other, to ballot. And ballot is referenced throughout statute. It's 13-14-115, and we consider a ballot as what's in front of the voter and what's tabulated either by hand or by the voting machines. So it's only the races that that voter is looking at. So we're kind of trying to figure out, do we treat Ward 2 as its own individual primary, or do we look at all of the wards having a relationship with each other?
Okay, so how will that be resolved? Who will make that decision? Let's put it that way.
Next Monday, which is Monday the 13th, I am meeting with the city council, and we're going to discuss how we've treated these in the past and the new interpretation of law, and kind of where our office stands. You know, we look at it as treating each ward as its own individual primary. And the tricky part is that offices is frequently referenced through the statute, and it's leading people to believe that the offices have relationships with each other, meaning like if Ward 2 would have a primary, could Ward 6 potentially also have a primary, but they wouldn't be sharing the same ballot. So I'm looking at it as, well, it'd be other races or offices that would share ballot space, and that would be a citywide position such as mayor or judge. And currently, this is an odd year for those positions. We will see those in 2017, but not this year. So the only true office that will appear on the ballot is each ward's council member.
Sure. Now, for a primary like this, where there's only one ward that is going to be appearing on it for a primary, that seems to me like it would be a great deal of expense for a little itty-bitty race.
Yeah, we would probably look at an election around $6,000 or $7,000 for a ward. There's about 5,800 registered voters that would automatically receive a ballot in the mail for an all-mail ballot primary.
Okay. Now, with the primary, it would be the top two. Is that correct?
Right. The top two would go on to the general in November.
Okay. Well, Mr. Wells, in his argument that he, of course, it's just a talk show,
Sure.
he preferred that all four would be on the ballot on the general and just skip the primary because evidently he felt that he would do better as the sole fiscal conservative, at least in his view. He would do better against three others than against one other. So would that have any weight? In other words, would the candidates themselves have a say in how that would work?
I don't know. You know, I'm going to present two options to the city council next Monday, and I'm just saying, here is what we've done in the past. Based on interpretation, we could or could not go that way, or this is a new interpretation, and I'm going to put it in the city council's the ball in their court and see which is the best way, because there's if you ask anybody involved in this interpretation process, you're going to get a different opinion from each side of the court. So we're going to let it up to we're going to propose the two different ways that the city council can move forward, and but the one thing we want to ensure is that we're following statute and that we're interpreting the law correctly and that we're doing what's required.
Now, the only other thing that came up is during the mayoral election that occurred a year or so ago, there were 4 candidates and there was no primary there. So how does that differ from the city council issue?
That was treated as all, well, there would have been, the best way to look at it is the Secretary of State's office came up with a cancellation of nonpartisan municipal primary matrix, and it talks about the number of candidates of each office on the ballot. And so if you had, for instance, a Ward 1 ballot, you would have taken 3 different offices into consideration, or they looked at all 6 or 7 offices that were on the ballot. So and also, they didn't have the change in law back in 2013 because it didn't go into effect until October 1st. So in the past, we've just treated it as 6 or more offices on the ballot or in the election. But since 2013, they've changed the election to the ballot, which has kind of changed how we move forward.
Okay, all right. So I guess my question is, when all is said and done, the city council will take a vote on it? Is that how it will work?
You know, that's our anticipated course of action so far, and just present their options to them. We're going to present our legal findings, and I've asked the Secretary of State's office to see if they're willing to contribute to weighing in on their opinion. This is a local issue, and it is local statute, so they deal with federal and state legal opinions, and sometimes stay out of the local opinions for election law. So only time will tell. Next Monday, we'll have an answer of how we're going to move forward.
Now, will this be at the city council meeting, or will it be like a committee of the whole, or what?
This will be at the 7 p.m. City council meeting.
Okay.
122.
122. All right.
2013 changed the statute, and
the purpose was what?
And it changed it in a more, I would say, convoluted way. It's already a tricky statute because it has a couple different ways of, well, if you have scenario 1, then these other scenarios could apply, and it's poorly worded. So I think instead of ballots being referenced in the statute, it should actually say election. And I think the original intent was to allow municipal primaries to not happen so that cities could find cost savings or just move right on to the general. So it is interesting, and just one change of language of changing something to ballot, it can really change a lot of the landscape.
Great.